everybody. So today is the second part of my discussion with David over the summer movies that we watched. It ended up being so long, we decided to split it into 2 episodes of the podcast. So make sure you listen to part 1 so that you get the full episode, because we talked about a lot of really great movies in part 1. So enjoy and let us know what you think. Bye.
All right. Then we have Men in Black International. And I liked this more than most people. I thought it was charming. I thought it was, I liked their chemistry. I mean, the Liam Neeson part was the most predictable, boring part. And we didn't get enough Emma Thompson. But I liked Camille Nanjiani as a little alien. I thought that was funny. And I mean, maybe I just had really low expectations because I haven't liked any of the Men in Black sequels. I thought they've all been terrible. It's probably my favorite of any of those sequels, just because it was, I don't know, I just liked their dynamic. I thought the Rebecca Ferguson thing was funny. Overall, I just left feeling like, oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that. And everybody else hated it. So I have it at 42.
Well, we're actually pretty close. I have it at 43, but I have less movies, so yeah, I didn't really care for this too much. I mean, I did like Camille Nanjiani's character. I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. It does fall in line with all of those other Men in Black sequels that I just don't really care about. I don't know why, but they just can't really come up with a really worthwhile concept for the sequel for these movies. Maybe it's just like once you have that first one, nothing else can have that magic because we've seen it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was just okay for me. I like I said, 43 is where I have it.
Yeah. All right. Then we have The Dead Don't Die. This is definitely my biggest disappointment of the year. I thought it looked so funny from the trailers, and I went and saw it, and I didn't like it. I thought that it was such a waste of talent. Like, it was very self-indulgent to me. All the fourth wall kind of jokes the director making, and I just wasn't funny. It wasn't scary. I was bored most of the time. I thought that it would rammed its message about consumerism into the ground. It's like, I don't need your narrator to tell me what you're trying to say. Like the good zombie movies, just let us figure it out. Let us know from the images and the story what you're trying to say. You don't need to have your narrator be telling us. Oh, that was so annoying to me. And I thought it was self-indulgent and annoying, and I didn't like it. And I haven't seen any other Jim Jarmusch, but I tell you what, this doesn't make me want to see anymore. I really didn't like it. I have it at 91.
Okay. Yeah, if we want to talk about movies that are pretentious, this kind of falls in line with that. It felt like it tried way too hard to be clever.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, you're a little too late.
Yeah.
You know, there's zombie movies that do it better, like Zombieland for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but man, it just didn't work for me.
Like I would watch Anna and the Apocalypse over this.
Oh yeah, me too. And
any
I don't
day.
love that one either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love the cast. I did kind of like what they did with Tilda Swinton. I think they could have utilized her more and maybe took it even further. There were some bizarre like deviations to the plot, especially in the end, that I just didn't get.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you doing this?
Well, even with what they did with her character was just like,
exactly. That's what I have in mind. Like,
and I don't know. I just feel like a lot of times the same thing with Wine Country. It's like, oh, well, we gather all of these funny people together, therefore the movie will be funny. No, that's not the case.
Yeah, it felt like I haven't seen his other movies as well, but it felt like he was really trying to go for like a Wes Anderson feel.
Yeah.
And that like one note, like monotone, it does not work for most movies. Wes Anderson can pull it off for the most part. I mean, it doesn't even always work for me with his films. And it certainly didn't work on this one. So
I agree.
I didn't hate it though. I just was pretty disappointed. So I put this at 55.
Yeah, I was very frustrated by it. And yeah, I did have very high expectations because I
Mhm.
thought the trailer was great. So it was frustrating. All right. Then I saw an indie called Wild Rose. And this movie stars a woman named Jessie Buckley, who I guess it was like a winner of kind of America's Britain's Got Talent or something over in Britain. But anyway, she's a revelation. She's incredible. She plays this woman from Glasgow who wants to become a country singer, and she's like, it's not country western, just country. And but she's has these two children, and she ended up going to prison. That's the beginning of the movie. So she's trying to kind of continue on with her dream, but her mother, played by Julie Walters, thinks that this dream is actually like stealing her of time with her children, and just wishes she'd just get more practical and become a better mother. And this movie was great. The characters were so well done that I thought that Julie Walters gave one of the best performances of the year for sure. You really understood why she wasn't just some like horrible person who didn't want her daughter to dream. Like you'd see in a lot of these kind of movies, you totally understood where she was coming from, and her arc was really great. And I absolutely loved this. The music was beautiful, and it probably will get ignored for nominations, but it shouldn't, because it was great music, and she sang it really, really well. And I don't know, it's a really good movie in my opinion. And the only challenge with the movie is that the Scottish accent sometimes was very hard to understand. So I want to watch it with subtitles, because sometimes it was hard to understand what they were saying. But other than that, I thought it was great. I have it at number 8.
Okay, I've heard nothing but good things. So
Yeah.
I thought the trailer looked a little boring, but after hearing all the hype, I'm pretty interested in this one.
Yeah. It's a really good one. I highly recommend it. So you saw Child's Play.
I did see Child's Play, and I really like Child's Play. This was actually a very funny movie. I didn't expect it to be as much of a comedy as it was, but it had those elements of horror and comedy, and I really enjoy when a movie can pull that off. I thought the casting was great. The kid in this, he was so good. I could see him being like a really strong actor in serious roles. He just, when he was crying, I believed it. But yeah, I thought Aubrey Plaza was good. I liked the gore a lot. I liked the over the top deaths. It just all came together. I put this at number 11.
Oh, cool. I heard that the design of Chucky was kind of divisive
Yeah,
opinions.
I didn't have a problem with that personally. I think
Uh-huh.
people who have a problem with that just wanted to see something a little bit closer to the original Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
But it was close enough for me that it worked. They did do a little. They deviated with the what made Chucky who he is. I believe in the original, somebody died and they possessed the doll. In
Uh-huh.
this one,
It's
it's
an
a
alien,
little.
right?
No, it's a little cheap how they did it. There was like a disgruntled employee who like removed some of the like firewalls on one doll because they were upset for being fired or mistreated. And so it's just like a defective doll, really. It's not an actual person in any way. So that was like one thing that was like, but other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Cool. Good. All right. Then Toy Story 4. So I think a lot of us went into this one some degree of skepticism. But I I ended up loving it. I thought it was incredible. I thought that Forky actually totally worked for me. And I thought, in retrospect, I think that Toy Story 3 ends ends the arc for Andy perfectly. But then I feel like this really ended our arc for Woody in such a beautiful way, because you don't really want him sort of stuck in this cycle of being abandoned like the
Mhm.
toys have, because they evidently can't really die and in this world. And so you have to you want to leave them in a spot where they're sort of carefree and independent. And I think this was the only way to do that. And so for Buzz and the whole team to kind of let him go and him to find this new life, I thought was perfect and beautiful. And I mean, the movie looked gorgeous. I thought it was really funny. And I liked the whole thing with Woody kind of becoming a parent of Forky was really fun, and I enjoyed it. And I thought the Gabby Gabby actually didn't turn out the way I was expecting. That whole storyline I thought was great, and I love it. I think it's just a gorgeous movie, and I have three or four movies that I go back and forth as far as my favorite of the year. But this is one of those. Right now I have it at number one. I love it. I think it's just great.
Okay. Well, we agree on this one too. So
Yay.
I don't have it in number one. I have this at number three, so pretty close. But yeah, I really enjoyed this too. I didn't think that they could necessarily top Toy Story 3, but I actually do like this better. I could make an argument that this is my favorite Toy Story movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed Forky. I don't think we can go without mentioning Key and Peele's characters,
Oh
Bunny and
yeah.
Ducky. They definitely stole the show at times. Yeah, we see so many movies, Rachel, and it's so hard for us to be surprised by a movie. I was actually surprised with how they took this in the end. I did not see that coming. I don't know if you did, but
I was surprised, and I liked it, and then the more I
mhm.
thought about it, the more I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was surprising, which was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought the resolution would be quite different. But yeah, it really worked on every level for me. So yeah, I love this. Number three.
Great, yay. Okay, Annabelle Comes Home, you got to see.
Yeah, I did. The Annabelle movies, they just never quite work for me, but it seems like the critics enjoy them more than me. I thought there
You
was a little.
you're not that high on The Conjuring in general, are you?
I love the first Conjuring. Everything since has been disappointing, and I keep having a little bit of hope, but yeah, nothing compares to that first Conjuring movie, which I really enjoyed. Um, but yeah, so this one it just was a bit chaotic. There, it felt like they couldn't pick a villain per se and stick with it. It just was kind of all over the map, and it felt very kiddish compared to a lot of the other movies in the Conjuring universe. For the most part, I was just bored. So I put this at 51.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Then we had Yesterday. And so this was our If the Beatles Didn't Exist. And I like parts about this movie. I think it has a big heart, and I love the Beatles. But I didn't really like the lead character. I thought that he was kind of rude to Lily James' character and just kind of entitled, and I don't know, I just never warmed up to him in the way that I think this movie needed me to enjoy it. And I didn't really feel like I wanted them to get together, because in the end, it's basically a romance. And even like the whole scene in the train station, I was like, "You're being really selfish. Like, what's wrong with you?" I don't know. I was irritated with him, and that was kind of a deal breaker for me. I don't think it's horrible, but it's right in my like 8 movies that are sort of right on that edge. But in the end, it was kind of like, oh, that was some fun Beatles karaoke. And Danny Boyle, I love sort of his style, but I have it at 72.
That's interesting because I thought Lily James was the one being a little more selfish.
Oh,
But
interesting.
yeah, I did like this movie. I am a big fan of the Beatles. I grew up on the Beatles. That's basically all that we listened to in the car when I was a kid. So I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I immediately
Yeah.
listened to the soundtrack after I left this movie. Um, but yeah, this movie started off a little bit slow for me, but I thought it really picked up in the second half, and I liked what they did with it. there was an interesting cameo that I thought was pretty cool as well. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed this quite a bit. So I put this at 22.
Good. Okay. Then I was able to see again the documentary Maiden, which I loved at Sundance, and I loved it all over again. You know, I love underdog sports documentaries. Underdog sports movies in general are an easy sell for me. I just love that whole like, yeah, go, 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 woo, kind of a thing. And this is all about the first all-female team to compete in the race around the world, the sailing race, and it was so well done. It did such a good job of mixing the new interviews with old archival footage, new shots of sailing and old shots, and how they, I don't know how they had so much filmed from back in the day as far as going on. I don't know if there was a documentary made back then, I don't know, but they had so much material. It was incredible. And I don't know, I just liked the way that these women were accidental feminists. Like, they weren't trying to be to change the world. They just really wanted to sail, and that was the only way they could do it, because nobody would hire them on their boats. And I thought it was really inspirational and really well done, and I have no interest in sailing, so the fact that they could do that was pretty impressive, and I just love it. I wish everybody could go see it and take their kids, because I think it'd be really inspired. I have it at number 3. I love it.
Yeah. I missed my opportunity to see this one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be able to see it on maybe on DVD or
Yeah, I'll have to seek it out.
Yeah. I it's just my kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Other Side of Heaven to Fire of Faith. So this is a sequel to very popular Mormon film from the early 2000s, I think, Other Side of Heaven, about this missionary. Now he's based on true story, and now he's a mission president. So he's he's the one who kind of helps the other of the young missionaries over the islands in Tonga. And I thought this movie was pretty good. It has some nice emotion about community and family, and being able to all appreciate what all different faiths have to offer, and what the combined faith of different people can do. I thought that was some nice message. You don't always get that in faith-based films. But it was interesting in the little sort of, they had the premiere. I actually went to the premiere here, and they had a little video in front of it, and the lady playing his wife, who was Anne Hathaway in the first movie, is now this new lady, and she was like, yeah, this was a challenge for me because I'm not much of a kid person. And she plays this mother of 5-6 kids, and after watching the movie, I was like, yeah, you could tell that she's not like, she just, I don't know, she didn't work for me. I didn't buy her as this mother of this brood of kids. But Christopher Gorham was really good. I think he's an underrated actor, and I liked it. I thought it was good. Of course, I'm definitely the target demographic for it, but I have it a 31. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a whole plot line with a Tongan father who's also a minister that I thought was a little much, and got a little, maybe a little mean spirited at times for the tone of the movie. So that took it down a little bit, but I still liked it. Okay, then we had Spider-Man Far From Home, and this just, aside from Endgame, this is just not my year for superhero movies, I don't think, because I was not a huge fan of this movie. I liked all of the teenage stuff. I thought that was all fun, but I didn't like the villain. everybody else is like in love with Jake Gyllenhaal, and I like Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor, but I didn't like the fact that you have this group of people from Tony's past. I thought that was kind of annoying, like, and I didn't like that the whole scheme was so convoluted about creating these illusions, and like, one, if a bird had flown into him, then it would have ruined the whole thing. I mean, it just seemed so. And I guess like nobody in this human world now is like fighting against, like, is helping the Avengers. They're just like, nobody's trying to stop these. I mean, if you'd had a plane fly into them, then it would have gone away. Like, I don't know. I just thought the whole plan was not for me and not my favorite. And I think that I don't buy that Tony would create this whole droid planet thing. I mean, he was literally signing the Accord. He was doing the opposite of creating something like that. And he was wanting to secede strength to the government, not create some giant station. And I don't believe that he would do the, what do they call it, Edith or whatever, those glasses. I don't think that he would give them to Peter because he knows Peter's not ready. And I don't think that I think he would provide some kind of failsafe, so knowing that Peter was going to mess up, and so that he could stop it, and especially knowing Tony and who Tony is. And so I didn't really like that. And I don't know, I just didn't think it was, I thought it was definitely lower tier Marvel for sure. So I have it at 78.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
very
definitely
surprised by
one of my more unpopular opinions of the year, but I don't know.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is maybe like a mid-tier Marvel for me, which is still pretty good. Um, yeah, I first of all, I thought it was quite funny. Even like that very beginning part where they play "I Will Always Love You" and kind of explain the blip, I think they called it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it for the most part. I wasn't sure how forthcoming we would be about the villain, but since you mention it, I had read something last year about Jake Gyllenhaal playing the villain, blah blah blah. And so when I was watching the movie, I'm like, wait, are we not supposed to know that he's the villain? And I was kind of annoyed that I didn't get to have that experience of being surprised that he was the villain.
It was so predictable
It,
to me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't say how predictable it was since I already knew, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, I kind of like what they did with it. It didn't completely work. It definitely feels small coming right after Avengers, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I don't know. It still really it worked for me for the most part. I mean, I don't like it as much as the first one, but I still really like this. So I put this at number 8.
Yeah, I didn't think, I mean, people were putting this over into the Spider-Verse, and I'm just like, what? I don't know, that doesn't make any sense to me, but what
Oh
do I
well,
know?
I would put it above Into the Spider-Verse, but
What?
I didn't love it as much as everybody else did. I thought it was all right.
Oh my gosh.
So
Well, all right. Well, we can still be friends.
okay, good.
So Midsummer. I know you were super excited about this one.
Yeah, I was super excited about it, and it really didn't disappoint too much.
All right.
So yeah, it's not as good as Hereditary. I can say that pretty assuredly, which was my number one movie for last year. This is number 4 so far for this year. So not a bad follow up at all for Ari Aster. But yeah, I really thought that the characters were good in this. I like the slow build. I like the colors. It's so bright and vivid. I really like the gore. I like
Mm-hmm.
the ending. There's some like pretty bizarre moments. There's nothing that I dislike about this. So yeah, if you can handle this type of movie, I think this is a must watch.
Cool. Yeah. I I knew it wasn't for me, so I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
So I saw a movie called Sound Euphonium, the movie, and last year there was a movie called Liz and the Blue Bird, which was also based on this anime series called sound euphonium. And I was mixed on that movie. A lot the anime community liked it a lot better than I did. But this I liked better personally. It's a real sweet little movie about the series is all about this band in this high school and the various characters that come in and out and in and out and whatever. And this made me want to watch the series because that's basically what the movie is about. It's about these various characters that are all in the band, and I liked all pretty much all of them. I thought they were all sweet stories, and the animation was really nice, and I thought it was cute. It made me want to watch the show, so I guess it did its job. I have it at 52.
Okay.
So then Crawl. So this is our gator movie with the girl and her dad stuck in the crawl space of the house when there's these gators. And I really enjoyed this movie. I like creature scares movies. I'm one of the few people who really liked 47 Meters Down. I like The Shallows. I like fun shark movies, and this is a gator movie, but it's basically the same. And I thought that it was just a tight little fun movie. I mean, there's some goofy parts about it, like the fact that they keep getting bitten and like seem to have no accompanying trauma for those injuries.
Right.
But so yeah, that's whatever. But I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun, and I thought they did I thought the two lead characters were good. They did a good job. And there's other people that kind of come in and out as basically gator fodder. But maybe as a former high school swimmer, I appreciated the swimming sequence, which was ridiculous, but I enjoyed it. I don't know. I liked it. I was 17.
Okay, I have it at 17 too.
Oh, look at that.
We're on the same page on this one.
You were very skeptical about it.
I was very, very skeptical. And you named some of those other movies like The Shallows, 47 Meters Down, and I definitely think this is better than those. So maybe sharks. Maybe we should move on from sharks and go to gators.
Go to gators.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought they did a very good job of developing this main character. They gave us some flashbacks, but not overkill, and it really all came into play. And I like that they told us about things with the mother without showing us.
Yeah.
And I was worried that it was going to be mostly just these couple of characters, but they definitely brought in a few other characters throughout the movie. And I'm like, good, because I need to see deaths. I like my deaths in these type of movies. So
I was grateful though that the dog didn't die. Oh no!
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. The dog is going to be fodder for the gator. I'm like, oh no!
Yeah, I would have been upset about that too. Yeah, it definitely kept me on the edge of my seat. So, yeah, this is a good one. 17.
It's just a good example of a movie that knows what it's trying to be, and does it. It's not trying to be anything other than just a fun, silly creature scares movie. And there you go. So, all right. Then Stuber, you saw Stuber.
I did, unfortunately. Yeah, so this is my second lowest movie on this list of 3 months. I have this at 62. I was just extremely bored, and this was a movie that I unapologetically slept through part of the time just because it wasn't working for me. I know that makes my opinion on it kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty stupid. The main character was just so violent, like unnecessarily, and he's not likable. Like I can't root for him. I don't know. It didn't work. It wasn't that funny. I'm trying to think of anything that may have made me laugh. Most of what I could tell was trying to be funny. It just fell short. So yeah, this is 62 for the year for me.
Yeah, it Didn't look good for me, that's for
No.
sure. So all right, The Art of Self-Defense. I haven't gotten around to seeing this. What do you think?
This actually was quite good. I had not seen a trailer for it or anything. I like to go into movies blind when I
Mm-hmm.
can, which is rare. But yeah,
Yeah, since we do this show.
exactly. Um, so yeah, I didn't know exactly what to expect, but you know what? I think Jesse Eisenberg, I think he, for the most part, knows how to pick movies. I really liked his character. I thought it was well fleshed out. It's a very funny movie. Some people in my theater were laughing a little too much, but um, yeah, I thought it was pretty clever. A little predictable at times, but I did like how it resolved. I didn't necessarily see that coming, the ending for this, which I always enjoy. So yeah, I put this at number 18.
Nice. Okay. So then The Farewell. So I saw this at Sundance and I really enjoyed it. I felt the pacing was a little slow at spots when I saw it at Sundance, but I have to admit, when I saw it just last month again in the theaters, it hit me even more because I've lost both my grandmas this year.
Mm,
And so, just on a personal level, and particularly the ending when because my grandmas, both of them would, when we would, be driving away, they would stand outside and wave. And so the ending really got me practically crying just thinking about it.
yeah.
I just, that relationship between Nene and Aquafina's character was just really hit home because my relationship with my grandmas and so I just love it. I think it's funny, it's sweet. It has, I think anybody who has a grandma should be able to relate to it. So I have it at number 5. It's one of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah, I think this may be one that I kind of set my expectations a little too high.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I did still enjoy it quite a bit. I feel like it could have been shorter. I know
Yeah.
it's not even that long, but this really, I think this would have worked as like a 40-minute film, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it just felt a little bit repetitive throughout. It was just a lot of the same thing happening over and over again. Um, but yeah, I thought the acting was great. I really liked the grandmother in this. I thought she
Yeah.
was adorable. And yeah, I definitely cried at that part at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was. It's one of those like I'm trying to hide it because I don't want all the people around me to know. So I'm just like
Yeah.
silently.
I do
Um,
agree on the pacing, and yet
mhm.
for some reason, it just I have that personal connection. This year, I think it was just the art that I really responded emotionally to
Yeah, that makes perfect
most.
sense.
So
Yeah, I put this at 19.
yeah, yeah. All right, then we're almost done. We have The Lion King. So the most profitable animated film of all time, which is the most depressing thing to me of all time. And so I think this movie was fundamentally flawed in its whole premise. I think the whole idea of having photorealistic animals singing and dancing was just flawed. It wasn't going to work. And yeah, sure, it looked pretty, but I just never felt there was always a disconnect to me between these realistic animals talking and singing and I wasn't emotionally invested. Like, I mean, I think Aladdin is way better as far as all of that. It's way better. But this, I don't know. I just wasn't emotionally invested because I wasn't invested in this version of these characters because there was no emotion. It was just bland. I said in my review, it's bland, 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 and I stand by it. They made almost no like significant choices to make the story different or make it interesting. It's the only thing going for it is this photorealistic look. And so that's only take me so far. And I don't know, I just think it's a fundamentally flawed movie. I have it at 79, which is probably generous. So yeah.
Okay, so this was actually a very hard movie for me to rank. Um, and I could see myself moving this around a lot
Uh-huh.
before the end of the year. So I'm trying to think if the original Lion King did not exist and I saw this movie as it is without the prior knowledge, I don't think there's any reason I would dislike it at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's technically a good movie,
You felt
but
connected to the characters emotionally.
somewhat, yeah,
Yeah.
somewhat.
Okay.
But that also may just be because I'm connected to Simba, and I know who Simba is, and this is Simba. He looks different, but it's still Simba, and I know his story. But I
Like
don't
in
know.
animated film, like when he loses his father, you see him welling up with tears,
Right.
and you see like you can't do that with
And
a photorealistic animal.
that does not bother me because I know you can't do that with a photorealistic animal. So I didn't have that expectation. I know that's been a big complaint that a lot of people have had, and that's one of the complaints that I don't really care too much about.
Hmm. I don't know.
Um,
I just felt like I just wasn't emotionally. It's such a movie that's supposed to have such gravitas,
mhm.
and because I couldn't get emotionally invested in the characters, it didn't have gravitas. But it was supposed to have gravitas, which is frustrating.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I
but I
think
mean,
my
I know people that liked it, and I can see why. But
mhm.
because it because Lion King is great, but I just my message would be stay home and watch the original. That's what I
Oh
would
yeah.
say.
I mean, for sure. Also, I think I saw this on IMAX as well. I don't know how often
Uh-huh.
you see IMAX movies, but I think it really can add to a movie like this,
Uh-huh.
just because it's a beautiful movie. Like that's something that you cannot complain
Yeah.
about. I mean, maybe some people will, but I mean, visually, it's great.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Um, but my biggest issue is that like, did they hire a scriptwriter? Because
Uh,
it is like I was quoting it line for line for
yeah.
a lot of the movie
Like
because it's
having a scene where like his fur gets picked up by a dung beetle. That's not something that significantly adds to the story. Like,
mhm.
what? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind
That's
of
one of the
baffled
few
because
deviations.
yeah, because John Favreau said that oh, it's not a shot for shot remake, and I'm like, how can he possibly believe that? What? I mean, if you were storyboarding out this movie as like an outline, it would be exactly the same as far as the story of the original. There's certain scenes that were like extended a little bit. Like, yeah, you
Yeah,
see Nala leaving. Oh,
right.
that doesn't change the story at all. So I'm baffled by. I thought that I trusted him that he would do something different,
Hmm.
but even her song that I thought, oh, that's going to be an interesting sequence or whatever. They were just walking.
Yep.
What?
Did you
Eh,
like Can You Feel the Love This Afternoon?
yeah, right. And Scar was the worst. I hated Scar, and
Oh,
Be Prepared was terrible. I think that
yeah.
was the worst number by far.
It really was. And I think this shows the difference between Aladdin. I think Aladdin did a much better job of capturing those musical numbers than The Lion King,
Yeah, for
personally.
sure. For sure.
Um, but yeah, so like I said, this is really hard for me to rank. I
Yeah.
try. Did I enjoy watching it? Yes, I actually did. I was disappointed,
Uh-huh.
obviously, but I mean, I already expected it to be like a shot for shot remake. So for now, I have it at 26. It will probably drop.
Mm.
And I know that sounds really high. It
How
sounds
dare
really high
you?
to me just
No.
reading it.
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, oh, it's so there's only what 6 movies between The Farewell and The Lion King. That doesn't sound right to me. Um,
But you can't. That's what's so hard is people are like, how can you have always be my maybe ahead of some prestige picture or crawl or
right.
something like that? It's like everybody. You have to look at what is the movie trying to be,
Mm,
and did you think it was successful in being that? Uh, like that's what's hard about rankings. But anyway, I can see it because I mean, Lion King is a great movie, the original, but
Yeah, it's a
anyway,
great story too. So
yeah. So, all right, we'll have two more. So then, The Fighting Preacher. This is a Mormon movie. The acting, well, the script was not great. The script is pretty cloying, but I thought the overall message of acceptance and tolerance and being kind when people are unkind to you was really nice. And I actually thought the two lead performances were good. I thought the little girl they got was great. And so there was just enough, I thought, for people that want a movie like this to recommend it. But I guess it's one of those movies you just have to know if it's a kind of movie you want to watch, then you'll probably like it. And if you don't, then you won't like it. So I have it at 56
okay.
in my ranking, The Fighting Preacher. So last one we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay, so this movie is
Oh,
only
you saw it.
I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I'm trying, since now I'm in trying to be, a full-time critic. I'm trying to just, stretch myself things I wouldn't normally see.
Okay. I
And
just thought you were going to defer to me. And
oh
then you
no.
started going.
So I saw it. And I liked it fine. I thought it was
Mhm.
perfectly fine. I thought that Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio were really good. I thought
Mhm.
that Julia Butters as the little girl, that whole scene
Oh,
was
yeah.
great. And
Yes.
if she got nominated for supporting actor, I would not complain at all. And she's great in I love the show American Housewife, and she's on that show, and she's great in that. And it looked really nice. I could have used like 30 minutes less driving scenes. I've never seen more scenes of people just driving than in this movie. um, I there were a lot of transportation shots in general. There was flying, riding a horse, driving, walking scenes, extended. And that was kind of and I can totally understand why Bruce Lee's family is kind of irritated, because that was weird. And all the montages of the throwbacks to old shows and old stuff, like, that was fun. And it doesn't really have anything to do with the plot, but it was fun enough. Yeah, I mean, the ending was so over the top. Yes, it was ridiculously violent, but it was ridiculous, and so it didn't really offend me,
Mhm.
because it was so over the top. You got flamethrowers and stuff. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was fine. I didn't love it. It was way too long. Yeah, I don't know, but it was fine. I have it 53.
Okay. Yeah, so wait, was this your first Tarantino film you've seen?
Second.
Second.
And I've seen Pulp Fiction, and I
Okay.
didn't care for it.
Okay. So yeah, I've seen most of the Tarantino films. I think there's three I haven't seen. Um, I can say that I did like this movie, but it is my least favorite Tarantino film that I've seen. Um, it really felt to me that Quentin had an idea that involved the last 20 minutes of this film. And so he's like, okay, I need to make a movie. How can I make this a full film? And everything else just feels like it was kind of an afterthought. The first hour of the movie, or first 2 hours of this film. Um, so it didn't all work for me. There's not really a strong driving plot. Uh,
Driving, lots of driving.
yes,
You agree? I mean, come on, there were
there was.
so many sequences. It's just like
Yeah,
Brad Pitt
so
driving.
yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Quentin Tarantino, he is a big fan of old Hollywood, and
Uh-huh.
so I think this was kind of like his love letter to old Hollywood,
Yeah.
and that's why there were so many cameos. Well, I mean, not really cameos. I don't think you call them, but appearances by old Hollywood actors, but obviously actors playing them, just
Right.
to be clear. And just lots of shots of what Hollywood was like then. I think that was just him just being like a giddy fan of Hollywood, which was fine. Like I did enjoy it. It didn't all come together the way that I would have liked it to, and I I did like the end. The end was my favorite part. I don't think the first 2 hours like really were worth it. But I still have this at 23.
Yeah. What do you think about Bruce Lee's the betrayal? It was pretty. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it wasn't flattering, but it was funny. I liked that scene.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessary necessarily, but yeah, I could see why his family wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's interesting. So
Mhm.
we'll see how. I guess I'll have to watch all of the rest of the Tarantino movies.
Yep,
That's one of the things that I've kind of been putting off. I don't know.
you can do it.
I just feel like it's one of those things that I'm not gonna like as much as everybody else. And so it's
Mhm.
kind of like, why do I want to do something that I know is going to be unpopular?
Right.
As much as people don't believe it, I actually don't like having unpopular opinions. I would much prefer to have popular opinions on everything.
Yeah.
But but anyway, but yeah, it's something I need to do, and I need to watch the Scorsese movies. So you know, ever since I became an official critic in January, I've been trying to expand and see more movies, and some of those things that when I was just a casual, there's no reason to see something that I don't want to see.
Exactly.
But now I feel like I need to. So anyway, there you go. My top five for the year, I'll just say real quick, is number one, Toy Story 4, number two, Avengers Endgame, number three, Maiden, number four, Blinded by the Light, and number five, The Farewell.
Okay. Yeah, so my top two movies we did not discuss, but those are Avengers Endgame and Us. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's definitely five movies worth mentioning again. So this is my 3 through 7. And
Uh-huh.
those are three is Toy Story 4, four is Midsummer, five is The Last Black Man in San Francisco, as six is Booksmart, and seven is Rocket Man.
Yeah, the ones we discussed, my top would be Toy Story 4, Maiden, The Farewell, Rocket Man, Shadow,
Okay.
and yeah, so that would be my top five.
Okay,
And then
so we
Wild
got
Rose and Always Be
some
My
overlap.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, some really good films out there, but I feel like you had to kind of, except for Toy Story 4, I feel like you had to hunt for them a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
So I put on Twitter, a couple people responded what their top three of the summer was. And we just had Matthew, he says Rocketman, Aladdin, and Toy Story 4. Ronan 312 says Spider-Man Far From Home, Toy Story 4, and John Wick Chapter 3, which neither of us saw that one.
Oops.
So yeah. And then Aaron Falvo says Toy Story 4, Booksmart, and Rocket Man. So there you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on and talking about this. This was a lot of fun. It's always fun. And where can people follow you on social media and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, the David Healy, and then we're both on Facebook in a group called Film Freaks. It's facebook.com/Film Freaks group.
Great. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes and YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. You can check out all my controversial reviews. So check that out. And you can follow me also at Hallmarkies Podcast. So lots of fun stuff. Consider becoming a patron to the channel. We have really fun discussions on our Facebook group, and there's giveaways that are possible. If you become a patron member, you can get some really fun giveaways. So check that out. I'll have a link in the description. Would love for you to participate. We also have our merch store, which has some really fun new designs. So check that out. That'll be in the description. And thanks again. And we'll be talking fall movies before you know it.
Yep.
Okay, bye.
Bye.